Good evening. It's been a while since I did an update on my VR6 S10. There has been a lot of changes, a lot going on, so I'm going to do a couple little short videos to keep people entertained here on the updates. So we'll start off with the turbo and the manifold. So, about, I don't know, in the fall or spring, summer, I forget when it was, but in the last year, I purchased a TIG welder and got a whole setup, basically for doing metal fabrication at my house. So I decided to build a tubular manifold for my truck. I had an old cast stock manifolds into like an up pipe into the turbo flange in the previous version. So I decided to build a tubular manifold for the truck, reposition the turbo, and just because, well, I wanted to try it, I wanted to do it, practice and get better at TIG welding. So this is how it turned out. So you can see the manifold. I have the engine out of the truck right now. So it is all, I believe it was 1.5 inch stainless tubing to a 6-in-1 T3 T4 collector, and then I have the wastegate on the top. So I had a lot of fun building the manifold. There's definitely a lot of challenges to doing the tubular manifold, especially as it gets pretty tight, and then between the flanges, or the each individual port, and then the flanges, as you go, they get tighter and tighter, and it just became harder and harder to actually weld it. So I was really happy with how this came out. I think it looks really good. Structurally, it seems really good. You can see I have a brace here to my engine mount, so that way it'll hold the weight of the turbo and support it. So as it gets hot and things in heat cycles, it will hopefully tend to not crack or anything like that. But overall, really happy with how the whole exhaust kind of came out. You can see it there. And then from the front side, take a look down there, and then into the turbo. So yeah, so that's the manifold. So that was one thing that kind of kicked off a lot of the changes of the truck this last year. That being said, I tried to clock my old turbo, and unfortunately had some problems and ended up being a fiasco in itself, which I will show you now. So old turbo. So I had a Garrett 35R. I bought this from a friend of mine, Chris, off of his car when we built an NA motor for his car. This was on a 12-valve Mark II. I ran this for probably the 5 or 6 years that the truck's been together. But with making that manifold, I had to clock the exhaust housing in a different position. So, of course, the bolts haven't been really removed since probably this thing was put on Chris's car, because I ran exactly the same turbo position, everything like he ran on his Mark II. So anyway, the bolts haven't been out in a very long time. So I tried to take them out without putting any heat on them, and of course they didn't budge. So I took them to the shop on a Saturday, and well, we added some heat. What ended up happening is I got 5 of the 6 bolts out. Yeah, there are 6. Yeah, 5 of the 6. And on the 6th one here, it broke, which was no big deal. I mean, I've broken bolts before. It isn't the end of the world, and you can extract them. However, this particular one, I had it re-drilled and tapped, and unfortunately the tapping is crooked. And then when I got the housing back, I noticed there was actually like a bulge in the cast here, and a bulge in this flange area that mates up with the center section. So basically, the housing, this exhaust housing was useless after that, and I had a decision to make whether I buy a new housing for $450 to $500. This is the Garrett, an original Garrett 35R. This is an 82 AR with a T3 housing and a V-band outlet. So these housings go again for $450 to $500. So I reached out to my friend Matt Happel and was like, hey, you know, can you get me one of those VS Racing's turbos that are a GT35 clone? So he and his wife Jamie helped me, and that's when I ended up with this turbo that's now mounted to the manifold. So this is a VS Racing 6762. I did end up going with a T4 instead of a T3, still an 82 AR, but this also has the billet compressor wheel. It is dual ball bearing, it is water cooled, so basically everything like the 35R, and it fits in the same position and basically the same frame size, so that ended up working out well. So that kicked off a lot of the other stuff that I'm going to talk through in some of the other series of this probably like 5-part video, but just to keep them short, sweet, to the point, keep people entertained, that's pretty much the exhaust update. So again, manifold, new turbo, new wastegate placement, we're going to build a new downpipe, and yeah, that's it for the exhaust. Thanks for watching.